Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to give it just another minute or two, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you again for your participation today. All right, we're going to give this just one more second. We are just waiting on our chair. We do have quorum. It'll be just a moment. Thank you for your patience. One just quick point of housekeeping while we wait for our chair to join us. May I ask who has joined the call with, it just says iPhone, so we can make sure to put that person in for attendance? Okay, we'll try to catch up with you later. If you can answer iPhone, we would appreciate hearing who you are so we can make sure to record your name in the minutes. Thank you. Okay, we'll just go ahead and move forward. We'll call for the meeting to open when our chair joins us and do attendance at that time, but we'll go ahead and move forward on the agenda for items that we do not need to vote on. So we'll start this meeting with an update on our two work groups that were formed by the Regional Domestic Violence Council, excuse me. And again, I just want to thank you all for being here. For those of you that this is your first meeting, my name is Kelly Williams. I'm the Director of Human Services at MAG, and we're really happy to have you here. Oh, good. Our chair has just joined us. Excuse me one moment. Welcome, Chair Norton.
I had trouble getting into this on both phone and computer. So, good afternoon. Did you just start or you already went through everything?
Nope, we just started.
Did you do roll call?
We have not. It's please,
okay.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. All right, this meeting is now called to order. It's being recorded and live streamed on YouTube as a way for members of the public to participate. And for those participating via Zoom, please state your name when making a comment or asking a question. I will ask that you keep your microphones on mute when you are not speaking, and we'll now begin the meeting with a roll call of all members.
Thank you, Chair. Dolores D.C. Ernst, Celeste Adams, Zach Altman.
Here.
Thank you. Lupe Bendine. Tanya Rubenton on behalf
She'll
of.
be joining us a little bit later.
Thank you. Thank you. Vice Mayor Ellie Klein.
Hello, I'm here and I'm no longer vice mayor, so I'm just council member Allie Klein now.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellie Klein. We appreciate your participation. Councilmember Christine Ellis.
Here. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry Friedel.
Present.
Thank you. Janelle Mayani on behalf of Cindy Garcia.
Present.
Thank you. Laura Guild.
Present.
Thank you. Lexi DeLash on behalf of Christy Hahn McDonald.
Present.
Thank you. Danielle Shager on behalf of Elizabeth Herbert. Samantha Hinchy. Councilmember Burdetta Hodge.
Here.
Thank you. Mary Lynn Kasanick.
Here.
Thank you. Patricia Clark.
Present.
Thank you.
Present.
Thank you. Sherry Loretano. Andrew Lefevre.
Present via Zoom.
Thank you. Let's see here. Brandy Datcher on behalf of Kevin Mattingly.
Hi, this is Kevin. I was able to attend after all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kevin. We're glad to have you here. Amy Offenberg.
Present.
Thank you. Kristen Charlotte.
Present.
Thank you. Melissa Thomas. Vice Mayor Kathy Tilkey. Did I overlook anyone except for Chair Norton?
Present.
Thank you, Chair. Did I overlook anyone? Thank you, Chair. You have quorum.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Our next item is the call to the audience. This is an opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction, that are not on the agenda or that are on the agenda for discussion and not for action. Members of the public could submit written comments via the MAG website 1 hour prior to the meeting. Kelly, do we have any comments from the public?
Madam Chair, we do not have any comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then we will proceed to item number 3, which is approval of the December 1st, 2022 minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? And do you want any discussion on them before that?
Madam
Okay.
Chair, this is
Do we
Andy.
have
I
a
move to
motion to
approve the
approve?
minutes.
Thank you, Councilmember Andy. Do we have a second?
Second, Allie Klein.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Andy to accept the minutes and second by Councilmember Ellie Klein. And all in favor, I don't think we need a roll call vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. Next, we'll have an update on the domestic violence work groups. And Vice Chair DC Ernst is not here, so I will be doing an update on the teen dating violence work group, and that will follow by an update on the crisis workforce work group. Kelly?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to update on both. The Teen Dating Violence Prevention Group is sponsoring and honoring Teen Dating Violence Prevention Month, which is in the month of February. We are working with Bloom 365, which is a local nonprofit that specializes on discussing and advocating for solutions for teen dating violence. We are co-hosting a series of 6 webinars in the month of February. You should have received information about that, and we'd be more than happy to send it to you again. We did have our first webinar last night. It began at 4 o'clock. The timing is very intentional to allow youth who may be out of school at that time of day to be able to participate. And all of the webinars will be recorded and posted to our YouTube channel. So that way individuals who may not be able to participate in the moment can watch them after the fact. If you have not encouraged your city council, your libraries, your schools to get involved in these webinars, we would really appreciate your involvement in doing so. Furthermore, the 6th webinar, which is on February 27th, is intended to promote the service providers in our community and resources that may be available. So if you have an organization that you work with or you're familiar with, or perhaps you work for, who would like to be featured in that last webinar, we would really appreciate connecting with you. And please feel free to shoot me an email about that, and we'll make sure that their work is highlighted. Yesterday was a great success. Each of the webinars includes youth survivors of teen dating violence, and their stories are very powerful. So we encourage your participation as possible in that series. Again, if you need any additional information on this, please feel free to reach out to me or anyone on our team at MAG, and we'd be more than happy to connect you. Madam Chair, would you like me to move forward with the workforce work group update as well?
Please, Kelly, and I need to advise you that there's something happening with I keep losing the connection. So if I lose it, would you continue where I'm not present to do so?
Absolutely, Madam Chair. We are more than understanding of that, and we'd be happy to move forward. So
Right.
the leader
Right, thank
of
you.
our workforce work group, which is a bit of a mouthful, is Vice Mayor Lupe Bandin, who is also a member of the Regional Domestic Violence Council. She sits on the council for the city of Tolleson, and she has been very passionate about trying to figure out how we can encourage more youth to study fields to be able to work in social services in some capacity to help individuals who may be experiencing domestic violence. She did send the following update by email that I'd like to read to you. She said that the Crisis Workforce Work Group is preparing for the first joint presentation to the City of Tolleson Jobs for Arizona Graduates, which some of you may recognize as the JAG program, and teen council groups in March of this year. The group also plans to attend the Arizona JAG State Conference in April. Vice Mayor Bandin was able to order a retractable banner and tablecloth with the message about the work group and MAG's logo and information about the Regional Domestic Violence Council. They're really lovely. She sent photos of them, which is great. And the group is preparing the traditional and fast track college course availability information to be able to distribute at these events. And those fast track programs are available through the Maricopa Community College system. They're also outreaching the state universities and private universities in Arizona that may be offering programs and financial assistance to students who may want to study in this field. Madam Chair, at that time, that is my update. If anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to take them.
Thank you. I do want to add something that Vice Mayor Bandin had asked. If there are any members that would like to help participate during the JAG conference to man the table, please contact Kelly and let her know the date on this. I don't have it in front of me. It's in April. Do you have that date handy, Kelly, for the JAG conference?
Madam Chair, I do not, but we can research it and come back to you.
Okay, all right.
It appears we have lost our chair for the time being. Oh, it looks like she's rejoining us. So on that note, I would like to welcome our colleague Jody Hector from the Department of Economic Security to give her update on the Aging Adults Abuse Project, which I'm sure I just butchered the name. My apologies, Jody.
That's okay, Kelly.
Welcome. It's nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me. So I do have a few updates for the Abuse in Later Life grant. So as part of the grant requirement, the CCR partners created a resource guide for elder abuse called the Maricopa County Legal Remedies and Victim Resource Guide for Elder Abuse. I know it's a big, long title. So it is located on the DES website, and it's available in both digital and printed versions. So we've started to distribute some of these brochures to our partners, including a QR code so that the digital version can be easily accessed in English or Spanish. So if you would like a brochure or the QR code for your organization, please let us know, because I have some extras. I want to just, it's kind of hard to see on Zoom, but so here is one of the brochures. It's very pretty, nice and colored with all of the information. And then look how cute this is. We created this for law enforcement so they could put it in their glove boxes. So it has tabs with all of the sections. And then here is, I dropped it on the floor, a QR code, just a little flyer that you could put in your office or on your desk in both English and Spanish. So please reach out to Kelly and let me know if you would like some. I can either bring them in person or mail them out to you. Another thing on the agenda is we're still continuing with the law enforcement basic and advanced training. It's still ongoing and open for registration. We've had over 600 participants so far, which is pretty exciting. So I think I've sent that information before, but if you want it again, just let me know. And then there will also be an in-person prosecutor training related to elder abuse in Washington, D.C. It was supposed to be in February of this month, but it's been postponed until September. So I'll share more information at our next meeting. And then next, I wanted to share about the direct services for the Abuse in Later Life grant. So the housing specialist, Janae Valerio, who works with the AAA DOVES program, continues to support victims of late life abuse, 50 or above, that need a safe place to go. So that includes a hotel, food, and incidentals for up to 10 days if a shelter is not appropriate or available. So the referrals are still coming in, and we are excited that we have connected with some tribal communities in or near Maricopa County to offer this resource as well. So that's been a big goal of ours. So please continue to share this resource with your staff and community, because we have these funds to use through September of 23. We are hoping to apply for an extension and then a continuation grant, but obviously those need to be approved by the OVW office at the DOJ. So we will start that process in June of 23. And then, as suggested by Kelly, I wanted to take a minute and ask a question to the participants today about the Vulnerable Adult Protocol that was updated by MAG in April of 2021. But before I ask that question, are there any questions about the grant updates? I don't think so. I think we're good.
Jody,
I have a question. Jody.
I don't have a question on the. I have a question on the card that you have, and you only have a few of them. Is that something that's available online?
Yes. So that's what the QR code does. But I've already sent the link to
Okay.
Kelly. I think Kelly has sent that out, the digital link to the DES website.
Okay. I think that would be a good place. A good place to put these would be in the senior centers.
That's
in
what
the
I was thinking.
communities. And thank you.
And those are easy to copy if we need to make more of the QR codes.
We can make sure to send that information again with the update from this meeting.
Okay, thank you, Kelly.
How the membership has it. Thank you, Jody.
Okay, so my question about the Vulnerable Adult Protocol. So there are key sections in the protocol that include law enforcement, adult protective services, ombudsman, fiduciary, healthcare, prosecution, and victim advocacy. So my question is, how many of your organizations use or reference the Vulnerable Adult Protocol on a regular basis? And so maybe just write it in the chat. Do they have chat capability? Kelly, and this? No?
No, for open meeting law, we can't have chat, but
Okay.
If individuals do not feel comfortable speaking up right now, if you want to email me, if you use the Vulnerable Adult Protocol, it's really important for Jody and the success of her grant that we be able to identify organizations that are using it so we can be able to amplify their voices. And we are obviously in great support of use of the tool. And so it was a critical tool that you all created. And so we're really interested in seeing how it's being implemented in the community.
And if you have any other questions, you could just ask Kelly or I, and we can respond. Okay, well then that's all I have.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item is an overview on the problem gambling division with the Arizona Department of Gaming. And we have Jay Harricky is here to present.
Check.
Jay, the floor is.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here. Arizona Department of Gaming has a small division of problem gambling, which I am part of. We just recently hired a new person and we're fully staffed now with 4 people. So we are a small but mighty team. How do we move on the, okay. So our mission is to prevent problem gambling and reduce its impact and its effect on folks. Next slide. Originally, the Division of Problem Gambling was under the lottery, and in 2002, after the approval of Proposition 202, allowing tribal casinos, the Department of Gaming was developed and Division of Problem Gambling was transferred from the lottery over into the Department of Gaming. We are 100% funded by casino, event wagering, and fantasy sports. That's our fancy way of saying sports betting, and lottery contributions. So no taxpayer money comes to fund, regulate, or provide the services that DPG or Department of Gaming provides. So as we're looking at what is problem gambling is any behavior which causes or disruptions in any major life area, psychological, physical, social, or vocational. I think this really ties into domestic violence. I think both problem gambling and domestic violence have a interconnectedness in terms of there's a lot of shame around them. It's not something that is typically on people's radars because there's always some other type of flavor of the month, if you will, about what people are focusing their attention on. And so I think it's really hard to get even a lot of good research on domestic violence and problem gambling, because even within problem gambling, you have alcohol and drug addiction, other behavioral health issues. And so to kind of tease those out, it's pretty difficult. But there are more and more universities focusing on this, and it's starting to kind of catch a little momentum. Next slide, please. So disordered gambling is a recognized psychiatric disorder. It involves uncontrollable urge to gamble. It disrupts or destroys the gambler's personal, family, or work life. It involves emotional dependence, loss of control, interference with normal functioning. And for those who have the disorder, it's not about the fun, it's about the need to gamble. The dopamine release in the brain while anticipating a win, it's really that anticipation is big for problem gamblers. It's similar to that of cocaine and other similar drugs. And when a gambling addict tries to stop, they do go through withdrawal. This is a big question we get often. That withdrawal looks like insomnia, agitation, irritability, and the feeling of being ill or at ease, similar to what we see with a lot of other substance abuse disorders. And I think those are significant because anything that's impacting a person's mood puts them in a more vulnerable state to perpetrate violence towards their family. And so I think that's pretty significant indicator in one of those connective tissues to gambling and domestic violence. The problem gambling impact is not only harmful to the individual gambler, loss of financial stability, relationships, but harmful to the family unit. This harm may manifest into real psychological and or physical danger. Impacts on the family, nearly 25% of pathological gamblers reported engaging in spousal abuse. Over 15% of pathological gamblers reported engaging in child abuse. And children of problem gamblers are 2 to 3 times more likely to be abused by a parent than their peers. Intimate partners of problem gamblers are 10.5 times more likely to visit an emergency room as a result of being physically assaulted or compared to intimate partners of problem drinkers. And then this statistic shocks a lot of people, but problem gamblers are 5 times more likely to commit suicide than other individuals with other addiction diagnoses. So that's pretty significant. And it really talks about the shame that comes along with being a problem gambler. So we know that for most people, problem gambling is a source of entertainment, but for a small group of people, gambling will become problematic. So when we look at those numbers, 94% of the people kind of fall in that no gambling to it's social gambling and at risk. And it's really 1 to 3%, which is similar to like an eating disorder of people who have disordered gambling. And then 2 to 3% kind of fall under problem gambling, where it hasn't become the full-blown addiction, but they're right there on the verge. And the hard number to capture is the people who are at risk. We really don't know how many people are kind of fall in that at-risk population, but those are people who are gambling socially often. And you don't have to have a lot of money to be a problem gambler, and you can be a problem gambler if you have a lot of money. So, you know, oftentimes when we go do outreach in some of the behavioral health places, a lot of the folks who I work with will say, oh, our folks don't have any money. They're not problem gamblers. And yet when we look at the research, we see that those are the folks who are spending a significant portion of their incomes on scratchers and things like that, trying to get just a quick fix of money. And then on the opposite end, just because somebody has a lot of money doesn't mean, again, that they can't be a problem gambler, especially when you look at people like Charles Barkley or Michael Jordan. So research suggests that gambling related violence does occur, and it often manifests into domestic violence incidents, as gamblers may take out their anger over gambling losses on their partners. There is also limited but growing international evidence that problem gambling is consistently associated with intimate partner violence, as well as violence that extends beyond to intimate partners into broader family. Low risk problem gamblers were found to be 2 times more likely to engage in family violence. Moderate risk problem gamblers were found to be 2.73 times more likely to engage in family violence victimization. These relationships remained robust for low risk gamblers, but were attenuated for moderate risk gamblers after the adjustment for substance abuse, psychological distress, and so on. So moderate risk problem gamblers have a greater probability of family violence victimization if they reported hazardous alcohol use as well. And low risk gamblers had a greater probability of family violence perpetrated if they were female. So what are we doing at DPG? We offer several different sections under the Division of Problem Gambling. First is treatment. We subsidize treatment for problem gamblers and persons affected by problem gambling. So that includes families, coworkers, friends. In fiscal year 22, we spent about $1.1 million on treatment services. We have approximately 15 counselors that contract with us. And then we also provide specialized training to counselors and people working with this population. Prevention and outreach is an area in our division that's kind of it's undergone quite a few people, and we're just happy to have Kristen, who I think is on this call as well, just hired into this position. So that position will be going out into mental health clinics and working professionals to encourage problem gambling. I'm stuck on the word. Education and screening. So a lot of mental health clinics don't screen for problem gambling. A lot of recovery centers don't screen for problem gambling. Screening for problem gambling can be a little tricky because you can ask somebody if they have a problem gambling and they will say, oh, I don't go to the casino. But if you ask them, how many lottery tickets they buy, or if they participate in health and wellness raffles to an extent that's impacting them financially or their family. So you kind of have to define what gambling is to a lot of people before you can really kind of get to the root of it. And a lot of folks just don't want to spend the time and energy to do that. But that's what our prevention outreach person is going to be doing. Additionally, in fiscal year 19, we awarded our first grant to a nonprofit agency who was working with youth, at-risk youth, and adding kind of a problem gambling curriculum into their program. And then lastly, the Division of Problem Gambling oversees and administers a self-exclusion program where folks can ban themselves from the casinos or online gaming for a period of 1, 5, or 10 years. So we also oversee the helpline in Arizona for problem gambling. It's 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's where people can call and get resources for finding a provider that they'd like to talk to. Oftentimes they can give them other resources if they're not interested in treatment or self-exclusion. There's a group that does kind of peer mentoring. They will just kind of provide just kind of a warm transfer to counselors if necessary, work with people who are in crisis to kind of help them just kind of work through whatever issue they're going through until they can maybe are ready for the help of working with somebody. And then lastly, we are hosting a one-day symposium March 6th that people are welcome to attend, especially if you have counselors or social workers that work for your organization. They can get CEUs for this. You can register on Eventbrite, and we have two prominent researchers, one from UCLA and one from McGill University in Canada, who will be coming down and doing some presentations on sports betting and kind of breaking down the disorders a little bit more in there. So anybody is welcome to attend that. It's free. Any questions about the Division of Problem Gambling or problem gambling in general?
I have a question for you, Mr. Herbcheck. You talked about 25% of the problem gamblers most likely to commit domestic violence. And then you later brought up the thing of lottery tickets. So we're not just talking about people going to the casino. Do you have any statistics as far as with the problem gamblers? Are these more those that are going to the casino, or can they also be those that are just spending more money on lottery tickets than they are on groceries and rent and so forth? Are there any statistics?
The only statistics, I mean, we do track for the folks who are in our treatment program. We track or we ask them, it's voluntary to kind of state what their preferred method of gambling is, kind of ranking it. The highest percentage is casino gambling and slots in particular. But there's a big, I don't remember what the breakdown is in terms of that, but it was pretty significant was slots and casino gambling. for the people who are seeking help, anybody who has any kind of gambling disorder, whether it's scratchers, lottery, we even teeter a little bit on like video game addictions. I don't know if people are familiar with loot boxes, but there's a significant gambling component to loot boxes in a lot of the video games where they can win a 1 in a million chance of winning a special prize that's part of their video game, that folks can buy and sell them online. And so there's many different forms of gambling that can take place. Gambling is just really, you're wagering something of value. It doesn't have to be money. It could be something that's wasting, you're wasting time. If somebody were to contact us and ask for help, even though it may not be a financial burden, but it's causing a problem in their relationships, they can definitely still get help. But to answer your question a little more specifically, no, I don't know what the national statistics are from casino gambling to lottery playing in terms of folks who are asking for help with that.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Mr. Herchek?
Madam Chair, I have a question if
All
that's
right.
okay.
Thank you. Yes, please, Kelly.
I'm wondering if there is if your work varies at all when we have events like the Super Bowl and the Phoenix Open and major national sporting events here, whether it's NASCAR or whatever that looks like. Is your data tracked in a way where you can actually see an uptick in problems, or, do you have to modify your message at all?
We are working on modifying our message. The new internet and kind of like betting on your phone phenomenon is fairly new. So the folks who are typically having a problem with that don't subscribe to the old way of doing things. A lot of them don't call helplines. They're more likely to maybe send a text, or they'll do a Google search and find the resources on their own. So we've had to up our marketing budget to kind of battle these things. Sports betting has only been legal in Arizona for just over a year. We have seen an uptick, but whether or not that's correlated to the sports betting, I don't know, because we saw a downtick during the pandemic, where, for a short time, the casinos were even closed down. However, a lot of people didn't want to do face-to-face counseling, or they didn't feel like telehealth counseling was for them. So we've seen an uptick, but we can't say whether or not it was directly correlated to like the sports betting. Only time will tell, I think, for us significantly to kind of monitor that and look at those things. And it's not uncommon for people who maybe started off gambling in the casinos to then kind of dabble in something else like sports betting and then eventually get hooked to that as well. So we're definitely keeping an eye on it, but it's hard. Again, it's mostly just been my supervisor and I up until just this last year where we hired 2 new people. So being able to just kind of mine through the data and figure out some of that stuff, we have it all, but taking the time to do it, or working with a university to kind of go through that and pull out research statistics is difficult, because oftentimes you have to pay for that. And we are on a very limited budget.
Thank you.
Madam
Are there
Chair,
any other questions or?
Madam Chair, this is Councilmember Christine Ellis. I have a question.
Yes, please.
Thank you. In view of the fact that the governor's office had a deal with the tribes to put some of this gambling housing here in Arizona, I know that in Chandler alone, we have 2 of them, and then now they put in another one south of us on Chandler on Gilbert Road and Hunt Highway, which will put us at the highest corridor. Do you see that gambling also have a link with human trafficking? That's my first question. And then the second question, you mentioned a couple of high-profile people into your presentation. Are those people have come out stating that they were or they are addicted to gambling? And then the
No,
third.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, go ahead and answer the first two.
For the human trafficking, I don't know specifically. That's not my area of expertise. I'm sure there's probably some information out there that we could look at to look at that. I do know that a lot of our agents who work in gaming are a little bit more plugged into that, and I know they take training on human trafficking. A lot of the gaming regulators are former police officers. And then gaming actually has a small unit as well that are post police officers. So I really am not the right person to answer that question in terms of the human trafficking part of it. So I couldn't say. As far as the high profile people that I mentioned, I think they've been open about their prominent gambling prowesses. I would say that they have a problem gambling. Again, they may disagree, but when they talk about it so much in the past, and it's been a big part of stories that you've heard of, that it's impacting them because it's become a highlight for them. But again, that doesn't mean, just because they can afford it, doesn't mean it's not impacting them in their family lives or in other relationships that they have. And then your third question?
Councilmember Ellis, did you have another question for him? Okay.
I think I was dropped.
I do have one more question. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, my next question was regarding the fact that you talk about having a low budget, and I know that there are some areas that are grants and things that are through either the lottery system or some other places like that, where places like yourself can actually apply for those grants because you are working with people that are addicted based on those type of gaming, and you're talking about playing and all those things like that. So have you get plugged in with those organizations where you can actually get funding through that? I know sometimes our police department will apply for certain grants like that because they are dealing with crimes and things. And then regarding the issues that you're discussing right now with gambling and all, and then once they get those funding, then they can only use it in those areas to help people that have this kind of issues.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm familiar that there are some grants out there. With our small team, it's hard for us to really kind of narrow that down and apply for budgets to get certain programmings going. We're hoping with the expansion of sports betting in Arizona that maybe some of that money will trickle down to us and we can kind of expand our views and what we're doing. There are definitely more things that we could be doing. We would love to get the lottery involved more with problem gambling. And ultimately, it's kind of working through those kind of relationships to get other programs going for us. I think we're just kind of on the brink of hopefully, being able to expand our programming. But we'll just kind of have to see how the new administration goes and then how the funds from event wagering are allocated. Because with just 1 year under its belt, I'm sure gaming has a hard time knowing if this is going to be, if it will continue on as it did the first year. And I would say from gaming's perspective, sports betting was very successful in terms of bringing money in for the state. And that money obviously goes to a lot of different programs. Only a small portion of it comes to gaming, and then a smaller portion of that would come to the Division of Problem Gambling. But if we are allocated additional monies in the future, then we would again hope to expand. And yeah, thank you for letting me know about the other grants that could potentially be available.
We appreciate what you do. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Madam Chair, Councilman Jerry Friedel, I have a question.
I'm not sure that Madam Chair is connected at the moment. Please go ahead, Councilmember Friedel.
So an observation, you answered the question about the sports betting apps having an impact and an effect. I remember at one time, and I don't have any experience with the sports betting apps, but I'm wondering, are they required to have any kind of a disclaimer like 1-800-NEXT-STEP, so that on those apps, people have an option or the ability to go get help if they need it? I know that casinos at one time, when they were advertising, they had to have some kind of a message like that.
Yes, there are rules that they have to follow in terms of having certain things. And one of that is, where to get help is on their apps. Whether it's easily accessible sometimes, I don't know. I don't have access to any of the apps. I'm not allowed to go on there and look, so I really don't know. I do know that on most of the commercials, any Arizona-based commercials has the 1-800-NEXT-STEP ad on there. I've heard it on the radio a few times. And then I do know that the sports wagering, most of them have an option for people to also they have the responsible gaming kind of protocols that they have to follow, which is offering people timeouts, like they can set a limit in terms of how much they can deposit and spend in a day. So there are things that they do as well that are written into our rules to follow. But, when you're fighting the media blitz that you get on TV, and we're trying to, we don't have nearly the money they have to promote, the services that Arizona does have to offer, it can be difficult. And then even so, I think the shame around not being able to control yourself from this addiction keeps people away from treatment. I didn't touch a lot about co-occurring disorders in there, but a lot of problem gamblers have co-occurring disorders. And so when they go in to get treatment for something else, problem gambling is usually kind of low on the list, if it's even on the radar for the clinicians working with them. And so those are battles that we fight every day. I do outreach a lot to different, behavioral health programs, other counselors and social workers, just to kind of, again, I try to promote problem gambling screening, getting involved to ask those questions, but it's an uphill battle for sure for us in terms of that. I think
Mr. Hirschek, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, continue your thoughts.
My last thing was, I think the self-ban, the self-exclusion is probably the most effective tool for, people who are having trouble gambling. They can ban themselves from the mobile apps. And so they can ban themselves from casinos too, but it's a little harder for the casinos to catch everybody, whether they ban themselves or not, from coming in. But definitely on the apps, it's much easier for them to keep somebody out and lock somebody out from creating an account or using an account if they self-excluded.
Mr. Herchek, I did want to ask you, what have you found the impact of this as far as affecting on the elderly problem gambler? What are they seeking help? What are some of the things that are happening before they do seek help?
It's fairly significant. A lot of the elderly, are more attracted to the casinos. We call them kind of escape gamblers, where they go in, especially in rural communities, where the casino might be the big place for them to go to. The staff there will tend to know their names. They'll feel welcomed. There's buses that will go and pick them up and bring them to the casinos. And so you will see, again, well, one, you can smoke in the casino. So, a lot of folks can, continue that addiction as well and impacting their health. But, I think if you're going to a casino and you're sitting there gambling for hours at a time, I mean, it's impacting physical health. So I think, there's tons of stories of folks who just don't even get up and go to the bathroom. They'll wear an adult diaper, even if they don't have to, just so they can sit there and gamble for longer. We have incidents of people falling asleep at a machine. And so the impact on physical health is pretty significant. But it's sad that when people will end up going there because that is either their social outlet, or they start, it's an escape from whatever stresses they might have going on, and they just sit in a machine and kind of veg out while they're playing games.
Thank you. I keep blipping out. So if, are there any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Hirsch, for presenting this and for sharing the upcoming seminar that you have coming up in March. And we appreciate it. Next on the agenda would be are there any that you'd like to see on our next agenda or on future agendas? Okay, we'll continue on to comments from the committee, and I'll actually, before I get blipped out, make the first one, and this is a good reason why. I've had several members ask me about when we were going to go back to in-person meetings at the MAG office, and I think it's a good time to do so. So please, let's see if we can have a consensus on this. It can be a hybrid. Those of you that would still need to do it via Zoom are able to do so, but I think it'd be great to go back to in-person meetings. I know that the executive committees are meeting in person, and several. So I'd like to hear your comments. All those that would like to do so, please unmute yourselves and speak up. Okay, I see a thumbs up. Councilmember Bending. Okay, let's.
I say yay.
Yeah, me too.
Yay. Okay, others? We can't do a roll call. I guess I'd like to. Can we kind of do an unofficial roll call on this, Kelly?
We sure can, Madam Chair, but what I would say from the initial response is that you definitely have individuals who want to do a hybrid, and so we'd be more than happy to host the next meeting, which would be in April, both at our office and have a Zoom feature as well.
Yeah, I think a hybrid is definitely what I will be interested in. Thank you.
Great. So then, are there any other comments or announcements from the membership?
Councilmember Klein, I would encourage you to speak up about your event today. You are muted. Councilmember Klein.
Let me unmute because that was the first step. I actually had, I'll hold this up. Let's see if you can see this. If I hold it steady, maybe not. Okay. Anyway, home-based surprise opened today. It is a shelter and transitional living for homeless youth, specifically for the 18 to 26-year-old. They're focusing on foster kids that may not have a place to go once they're no longer living with their foster parents. I sent the address to Kelly via email, but I'll give you the address as I'm speaking it. It's 12215 West Bell Road, Surprise, Arizona. This is being run by nativeconnections.org. They have a number of other facilities all over Phoenix, and they have 40 beds. I know that's not, doesn't sound like a lot in the big scheme of things, but 40 beds for that particular age group, I think is amazing. It's very close to our resource center on Bell Road, so they'll be able to provide, they're looking to be able to provide life skill training as well as education assistance. And they have 7 residents living there at this time. They have both boys and girls in this location, so it's not just one or the other. It's a beautifully done remodel of an old senior living facility, actually. And so they have fitness centers, they have a computer center, they also have offices. So as an example, if someone wanted to be providing, so Arizona at Work, who works with our resource center, might spend a day in helping people with resumes and job things like that. So of the 7 people that we have living there at this moment, 2 of them have completed their GEDs, and they're working on 4 of them to finish their schooling. They can stay up to a year. So it's really transitional to help them move from, it's kind of like a college dorm. They can move from their other situation into this interactive, there's games, there's books, there's TV, there's exercise equipment. There's all of those things in this location. There's food. There's a shower area for the residents, but there's also, in case they bring someone in right off the street who just needs to take a shower and wash their clothes and all of that kind of good stuff. So I am super excited about the fact that we have that grand opening today, and that it will be the first one run by this organization on the west side of town. And they're open to having other organizations contact them as far as providing either classes. We're going to work with Ottawa on some life skills. The City of Surprise currently provides things to the Ottawa students, like how to change tire, how to change your own oil, banking and financial education, how not to get yourself into debt on stuff. So we already do that a little bit, working with the Ottawa, so we're going to include that. And our What's Happening Art Movement folks, WHAM is one of our looking at art classes there that might be a way for people to express their frustrations or their concerns. So we'll have a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be there. So I am just super excited that we have that facility open and going live, effective. The grand opening was today, but obviously we have 4 residents already. Each room, each person will have a shared room. So there's 2 beds to a room. So it's similar to a dorm experience, but they're inside. They have all of the things that you would need to be successful as a human, and then working with them on what they might need to help them get to the next level. So it's pretty cool, and it's on the west side of town. So yay, everybody, that I'm just super, super excited about that. And I have a second thing.
That's great.
The City of Surprise, our regular city meeting council on the 7th has a proclamation for teen dating and violence prevention awareness month. So this month, if our guys didn't reach out to you already to let you know that we're doing that, that's our proclamation this month, is awareness of that within the city. So that's going to happen on the 7th. So we're working really hard at being supportive of those kinds of issues and making sure. I did share the information about the webinars with the administration, with both Dysart schools and Natterburg schools and the charters that we have in town that I have connections with. And I hope they take advantage of it, but I did send it out when you sent it to us. So thank you very much for that information. That's all I have. Anybody have questions about it that I can answer?
Thank you, Councilmember Klein. It appears we've lost our chair temporarily, so I'm going to move on. I saw both yeah, Councilmember Bandine and Councilmember Lefever's hands are up. So Councilmember Bandine, do you want to go next? And then we'll come back to Councilmember Lefever.
Thank you, Kelly. Am I on?
You are.
Okay. Thank you, Kelly. I just wanted to say that I was fortunate enough to attend the ACESDV first day of the conference yesterday. It was an excellent conference, lots of great information. The 3 workshops that I attended were excellent. The presenters were excellent, had a lot of information, a lot of great suggestions and work that you can actually start day one. So it was an excellent day yesterday, and I just wanted to let everybody know that the conference was just great, and I was really glad that I was able to attend the first day. They did a great job. Thank you.
And Councilmember Lefever.
Thanks, Kelly and members. I just wanted to announce that the Criminal Justice Commission, I think, opened at the beginning of this week. We opened up our yearly victim assistance grant application for groups that are interested in applying. Happy to say that our funding availability is slightly higher than what it's been in past years. We have about $750,000 available, which is more than what we've had in the past years. I know this won't make up for the decline in the VOCA funding at the federal level, but just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that opportunity. You can go onto our webpage, which is azmag.gov, and then under the grants tab, you can see the open grant. It's currently open and applications are due by February the 10th. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that opportunity to apply. And I can't specifically answer questions since it's open at this point, but it is there. And if you have any technical questions about the grant process, you can reach out to our office and we're happy to help walk you through it.
That's great. Thank you so much. Okay, are there any other members of the council that would like to give an update of any sort?
I'm going to try, but I'll probably lose the connection again. I'll be happy to see those that are able to make the meeting April 6th at 2 p.m. If you can make it downtown at the MAG office, that's great. Otherwise, we'll see you on Zoom on the hybrid. I attended the same conference yesterday and then half of today. It was excellent. And there were so many great ideas. I feel that there was a lot that was offered there that even city councils should be listening to, because so much of the issues that we are seeing with the various communities.
Well, unfortunately, it appears we lost our chair again. But on that note, it sounds like the conference was fantastic. Thank you very much to Councilmember Bandine and Councilmember Chair Norton for attending. And unless there are any further questions, we will go ahead and end the meeting unless anybody has any final comments. All right, thank you again for being here. And again, please participate in the webinar series this month if you are able. We really appreciate it. Take care and we'll see you in April. Thank you. Bye-bye.